Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your ultimate home for everything Liverpool. Today we've got huge talking points. Alexander Isak, transfer buzz heating up. Arne Slot slamming Hugo Ekitike after a stupid red card versus Southampton. Giovanni Leoni's worrying injury update, and Jeremie Frimpong's reaction that says it all. Plus, forget Isak for a moment, because one of our new summer signings stole the show with a stunning 97% pass accuracy. Stay tuned, Reds! This one's packed with drama, passion, and the future of Liverpool Football Club. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Alexander Isak plan accelerates as Liverpool man who won't go forgotten. Times pitch perfectly. The Paul Gorst verdict from Anfield as Liverpool beat Southampton 2-1 in the third round of the Carabao Cup moment, the 60,000 plus. Inside Anfield had turned out in the hope of seeing was served up to them by Alexander Isak on the cusp of halftime. The 125-meter man slotted past goalkeeper Alex McCarthy with consummate ease on 43 minutes of this 2-1 victory over Southampton in the Carabao Cup at Anfield, wheeling away with the sort of celebration that will soon become a regular sight around these parts. This is what they paid the money for, and while there will be tougher tests in more high-profile games, the fact Isak is already off the mark as a Liverpool player augurs well for Arne Slot as he continues reconfiguring this new-look attack. The Reds have basically used the first few weeks of the Sweden international's 6-year contract, establishing the best way to get him Premier League match fit as quickly as possible. There was the intense Saturday session that saw him take a Sunday recovery day when his colleagues were at Burnley earlier this month. Before an hour-long cameo and a first start since May against Atletico, Madrid was followed up by more minutes off the bench in the Merseyside derby at the weekend. But it was a start here against Southampton where fans were perhaps most expectant of their new hero showing just enough to whet the appetite for what should follow. And the number 9 did not disappoint, tucking away Federico Chiesa's cutback with no fuss. During an enterprising first half that might have even had an early goal, but for a good save, club staff had been in regular dialogue with their Sweden counterparts after Isak completed his British record. Switch on transfer deadline day before flying out on international duty, with the Reds keen to get their new number 9 up to speed on the back of a pre-season schedule, where he was banished to the shadows at Newcastle United as his acrimonious transfer was played out largely in public. Post-match, warm-down sessions, and even halftime routines have all formed part of the detailed and strategic plan for Isak and the sight of the striker. Shuttle running under the watchful eye of Ruben Peters, the physical performance coach during the break, was instructive as to how there will be no deviation from the blueprint designed for him. Isak might have felt entitled to have earned himself a halftime pat on the back from Slot after opening the scoring against the championship side, but he was instead dispatched outside to run through the drills with Peters, and the fact that Isak was not given any more time to add to his opener after halftime only hammered home the message further. There are bigger fish to fry than Southampton in the Carabao Cup. This, though, was an encouraging evening for a player for whom so much will be expected over the next few years at Anfield, but Isak is not the only big-money striker joining Liverpool this summer, and his exit for Hugo Ekitike gave the France international the chance to strut his own stuff for 45 minutes. Liverpool boss Arne Slot slams stupid Hugo Ekitike's needless red card against Southampton. Hugo Ekitike was sent off for removing his shirt after scoring Liverpool's winner in the Carabao Cup third-round clash against Southampton at Anfield. Arne Slot was critical of Liverpool forward Hugo Ekitike after his late red card for removing his shirt against Southampton. French forward Ekitike had replaced Alexander Isak at halftime, and after tapping home the winner with 5 minutes remaining, he took off his shirt as he ran toward the corner flag. Referee Thomas Bramall immediately showed Ekitike his second yellow. He will now miss Liverpool's Premier League trip to Crystal Palace on Saturday. Reds head coach Slot said, "The first one, yellow card, was already needless and to a certain extent stupid because you have to control your emotions. I know how hard it is if you play in the Premier League and you are a number 9, then the defender can almost do everything he wants, and when you push him a little bit, you get a free kick against you. But it is always the best to control your emotions. And if you can't, then do it in a way that doesn't lead to a yellow card. So I think I said when I got my red card against Everton, that's always stupid because you can show your emotions. But if it leads to a yellow or red, then it's, to a certain extent, stupid. Then I told him that if you score in a Champions League final in the 87th minute, after beating 3 players and hitting it in the top corner, I can maybe understand you say, it's all about me. But I'm old-fashioned. I'm 47. I'm old. And I haven't played at this level, but I did score a few goals. And if I scored a goal like this, I would have turned around and walked up to Federico Chiesa and say, this goal is all about you. This is not about me. So, yeah, needless, not smart. You call it stupid and I call it stupid. Andy Robertson, who was captaining Liverpool in the absence of Virgil van Dijk, said, I'd be very surprised if he does it again. I think scoring a goal is always emotional, and you always get that emotion. But he's obviously just forgot he's been booked. His first one is stupidity, kicking the ball away. We know the rules around that. 2 silly bookings to pick up, and now we miss him for Saturday. So it's silly from his part. But he's only young, and he will learn from it. Arne Slot delivers Liverpool injury update on devastated. Giovanni Leoni. It didn't feel good. Giovanni Leoni saw his Liverpool debut ended abruptly after he landed, awkwardly in the second half of the Carabao Cup win over Southampton. Slot delivered a downbeat verdict on Giovanni Leoni after the Italian defender left his Liverpool debut on a stretcher. The 18-year-old had delivered an impressive display at the heart of the Reds' back line in the Carabao Cup clash with Southampton, but after falling awkwardly when challenging for the ball near the touchline, he dropped to the turf in agony. After a lengthy delay, the former Parma defender, who was called into the senior Italy squad for the first time at the last international break, was taken from the field on a stretcher and replaced by Milos Kerkez. Speaking at his post-match press conference, Reds head coach Slot said he's down because for him it didn't feel good immediately. But this is something now we have to assess, and normally these things don't happen in 5 to 10 minutes. You have to wait until tomorrow to see how he comes in and then maybe do an MRI scan to know more. Normally, the emotions of a player tell you a lot. I saw a player in the Dutch Eredivisie at the weekend who went out completely in tears, and it proved to be that he was right, that he had suffered a bad injury. But let's hope for the best. When pressed on whether or not Leoni had injured his knee, Slot cryptically replied, it's not his shoulder. The teenager's injury was a sour note on a night when Liverpool secured passage to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup with a 2-1 victory thanks to Alexander Isak's first goal for the club and a late strike from Hugo Ekitike, who was given a second yellow card when celebrating after removing his shirt. Speaking on his side's display, Slot said, not our best performance. You can expect that if you play a complete new team. So many players that haven't played for a long time. There were positives. Georgi Mamardashvili had a good game. Federico Chiesa and Giovanni Leoni had a good game. A first goal for Alexander, and another from Hugo. Positives from the game, but how we played as a team, not taking anything away from Southampton because they played, well, it wasn't our best performance. The Reds return to Premier League action on Saturday when they head to Crystal Palace, who are the only other club in the top flight along with the defending champions, who are yet to lose so far this season. Jeremie Frimpong reaction to Hugo Ekitike Liverpool red card speaks volumes. Liverpool striker Hugo Ekitike scored the winning goal as they beat Southampton in the Carabao Cup 3rd round, but referee Thomas Bramall soon sent off the player Jeremie Frimpong. Spotted straight away that Hugo Ekitike was set to get himself sent off following his goal for Liverpool against Southampton in the Carabao Cup 3rd round. The striker celebrated scoring by removing his shirt, but was already on a yellow card, and a second soon followed from referee Thomas Bramall. Both bookings came in the second half, as Ekitike only came on as a halftime substitute to replace Alexander Isak. The former Newcastle United striker scored just before the break to open the scoring. But barely 8 minutes after the introduction of Ekitike, he was in the book for dissent. Disagreeing with the decision to award a free kick against him, the 23-year-old punched the ball away in frustration. Southampton then equalized through Shea Charles, but Ekitike would respond correctly this time, putting Liverpool back ahead less than 10 minutes later. However, Almost as soon as he had tapped in a pass across the goal from Federico Chiesa, the striker had his shirt up and over his head. While wheeling away, he held it up to the crowd inside Anfield by the corner flag. However, after turning around, the realization will have started to sink in after seeing the look on Frimpong's face, who was clearly alert to what was coming. The fullback pushed him in the chest and spoke animatedly towards his teammate while holding his arms outstretched before walking away after saying his piece. Liverpool head coach Arne Slot appeared just as bemused on the sideline. Ekitike will now miss the weekend's Premier League match against Crystal Palace due to serving a one-match suspension because of the sending off. Isak will presumably start in the player's place up front, and if so, would mark his full league debut for the club after only featuring as a substitute in the Merseyside derby against Everton at Anfield last weekend. If I had to score a goal like he did tonight, I would have turned around and walked up to Federico Chiesa and say, "It's all about you, Federico. Great assist," Reds boss Slot said post-match. But that's maybe me being a bit old school. It was stupid in every sense. The good thing was that his teammates helped him. But he is now suspended for Saturday, and that is far from ideal. Forget Alexander Isak, Liverpool summer signing with 97% pass. Accuracy was the real deal versus Southampton. Liverpool reached the fourth round of the Carabao Cup thanks to their 2-1 win over Southampton on Tuesday night. Alexander Isak initially took the spotlight with his first Liverpool goal, but Federico Chiesa earned most of the plaudits by full time for his 2 assists. Hugo Ekitike sadly stopped any plaudits for his winning goal coming his way due to his baffling decision to take his shirt off while already on a booking, which led to his sending off. Isak aside, another Liverpool summer signing delivered an impressive display, made all the more special by the fact he's still a teenager. Giovanni Leoni dazzles on Liverpool debut. The player in question is Giovanni Leoni, who joined Liverpool from Parma over the summer and was handed his debut against Saints. The 18-year-old was nigh on unstoppable against the South Coast side, dazzling fans and clocking up some impressive statistics. Leoni completed 88 of his 91 passes for a pass accuracy of 97%, along with 102 touches of the ball, 6 clearances, 3 interceptions, and 1 tackle. In addition, Leoni won all 3 of his aerial duels and 1 of his 2 ground duels, and was not dribbled past once. Sadly, Leoni suffered an injury late on in the game, falling awkwardly after a collision with an opposition player. The Italian was stretchered off the field after receiving treatment for several minutes. What Arne Slot said about Giovanni Leoni injury post-match. Slot, speaking to the Liverpool media team after the game, confirmed that Leoni would be undergoing tests to determine the severity of the issue. Of course, he is down because for him it didn't feel good immediately, but this is something now we have to assess, said the Dutchman. Normally these things don't happen in 5 to 10 minutes, and you have to wait for tomorrow to see how he comes in and then maybe do an MRI scan to know more about how serious it is. Normally the emotions of a player tell you a lot. Let's hope for the best.